is it so hard making friends later in life? Is it because we're getting too busy with family and work and all the chores that come with that? Or are we just getting pickier and are not as flexible and as open to new relationships anymore? I've got some experience in that field because I migrated from Germany about 20 years ago to Australia, and I was 27. So I left a really close circle of friends behind and had to start all new over here in Melbourne because I knew nobody. It was hard, but it was also exciting at 27. Then about 6 years ago, my relationship ended and I had to move house and area. Plus my old friends, they started having families, children, etc. And everybody just got really busy. So now I find myself in a situation that I for the last few years had to make new friends and try to make new connections to keep myself busy and have things to do. And yes, so I thought I could give you a bit of an insight on how to make friends when you're nearly 50. I think the first point on why it is so hard to make new friends in your later years is that everybody is busy. We're all busier with work, with life, with families, children's commitments. I have lots of friends that have 2 children now, and their weekends are basically busy with birthday parties, sport activities, you name it. So they really only catch up with their closest friends and families these days on most weekends because there's just no more time. So I find one of the points is life is busy and families come first. So if you are not part of someone's family, it can be tricky to meet up with them regularly. Number 2, which I found the hardest when I arrived in Melbourne from Germany, was that most people have made their friendships during school or at university or early on in their working life. So there were very close established circle of friends, and they don't need really any more people to join them. So by coming in as a newcomer from overseas, it was very hard to actually meet people that were open to making new friendships. When I arrived, I was lucky enough to know some people that my parents knew that had migrated, and so at least I had a base to start off from. I had somewhere to stay for the first week or so. But after that, I started making connections through the internet, which was quite bizarre, but that's just the age we live in. And I started going on some meetup sites, social walking sites, even some dating apps. And what happened was I did meet quite a few people, didn't want to date them, but we actually started being friends. And yeah, the longer I've did that and the more I put myself out there and actually caught up with people in that way, I ended up building a circle of friends because someone knew someone. I was invited to a barbecue, met new people through there. And yeah, that's how I slowly but surely in my late 20s, new to Melbourne, build up a circle of friends that I still have now to this day. Saying that though, as mentioned before, their lives have changed, they have families, children, etc. So I don't see them that often. So for especially the last year, I actively had to find ways to meet new people again. And now that I'm in my late 40s, nearly 50, that seems to be even harder than 20 years ago when I arrived in Australia. So what did I do? I started joining quite a few hiking groups. I love camping, I love hiking, I love walking. So I'm actively going out most weekends with a group, and through that meet some new people. It's usually a couple of hours of hiking, and then we go and have lunch, coffee, something. And so far I've met the odd person that I'll stay in contact with even out of the hiking group. So that was a good start, but I felt like I needed some more. I'm also very lucky that for the last 5 years I'm working in a workplace where a lot of people work that I really like. So I feel like I do have some close friends at work. We do catch up in the holidays when we can, and sometimes on the weekends. So that's quite nice. So that's another little group of friends that I've got. And I'm also working on joining some meetup groups for other interests, like a book club or maybe some board games. I joined a gym for a little while, but that didn't seem to do the trick because everybody just arrived and left. But if you find yourself in the same situation after a relationship breakdown or moving country, moving states, or you just feel like you need some more connection in your life and some new friends, put yourself out there. These days, there's so many groups online and everybody seems to be looking for the same thing. Everybody seems to be looking for connection and closer, deeper connections rather than just catching up and talking about nothing. So whatever your interests are, I'm pretty sure there'll be a meetup group about that. Or just have a look at community boards, etc. There will be quite a few groups that are happy to see you. Sporting clubs, if you're sporty and you want to do something go and join one of those and just see what happens. And if you don't like it, I found there's a few groups that I joined or I went to events for and they just didn't gel with me. And so I only went once or twice and then found something else. I think another important point of why it is so hard to meet people these days is that we've lost our third places. Places like cafes or just people hanging out in parks catching up or having the time to just randomly knock on people's doors and say, hi, you free? Let's go for a coffee. These days I find you always have to make an appointment. You always have to basically you always have to plan your catch-ups. Whereas years ago, you'd just go out and you'd walk down the street and there'll be someone at the bakery, at the cafe, on the basketball court, etc. So we actually have lost a lot of places to go to meet people. I find meeting people doesn't happen very often. Everybody rather stays at home because we've got the Netflix, the Disneys, the binges, etc. Very rarely do we go to the movies, or really with Uber Eats, you don't even need to go out for dinner anymore because you can get anything you want at home. And I find that had a really detrimental effect on how people catch up and how people connect. I find myself often rather staying home and not making the effort, but for the last few months I really have made a point of making sure I do go out and I do make an effort to meet people outside my house, because nothing great ever happens while you sit on the couch and only watch a movie. As nice as that is, it's fantastic, but for your social life and your social skills and your social interactions, it's utterly useless. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name them, do not compensate for actually face-to-face contact and hanging out with friends. And talking about social media, I think we have really created a problem for ourselves that everybody is so addicted to their phones and their Facebook accounts and their Instagrams, and especially the younger people. We don't even want to talk about that, what problems they have because of social media. But even people my age, 47 plus, we always have our phones in our hands. We're always on Instagram. We always rather text than actually calling someone. And I feel like we're losing the ability to actually socially connect with each other in person, making the effort to catch up in person and enjoy that catch up and the joy of actually sharing a meal rather than just sending a text message or a messenger on Instagram and connect that way. So social media, I think, is really hindering our social development and our social skills and our opportunities to meet each other and enjoy each other's company. There is a lot of research out there over the last few years that especially the younger generation, and especially after COVID and here in Melbourne, really didn't have the opportunity to develop the social skills they need to go out. And a lot of young people say that they're actually afraid of meeting people face to face. They feel safer connecting with people through their phones and through their Instagram accounts. And I think that is really, really sad. I'm a teacher and I can see it at school. The kids do not know how to get along with each other. They do not know how to solve problems, social problems. They're great academically, but getting along with each other is really tricky for them. And I think I'm in primary school. I think it just gets worse the older they get. So connecting face to face from as early as possible, I think, is a very important skill for us to be happy and live a fulfilled life. I do love camping and going away by myself on the weekends because I really don't have anyone that wants to travel with me all the time. I have met quite a few interesting people just connecting through that Facebook group and saying, hey, I'm here, anyone else here? Or you just walk around the campground and people will just start having a chat. And if it's a single woman, quite often we're on the same sort of path. And so my personal experience, I have to take myself out. I have to get out of my comfort zone and I have to try and meet people where I can. With that little group that I've got, they do plan a lot of events, get-togethers, shows, walks, hikes, dinners, you name it. And if I can, I try to join those and hence build closer connections with these people, and hopefully some good friendships will develop out of that. And obviously I still have my old friends, so in the gap, every couple of months, we actually do manage to catch up, and that's great. So you can join those friendships still, and we know each other for 20 plus years now, which does make a difference. So get yourself out there, get off the couch, try and connect through things that you love, and just enjoy life. Just enjoy being with people rather than behind a screen.